The headlines: Education Ministry draws up plans for Common Entrance Day in case teachers strike. There's concern among Bajans of Indian descent that they are not considered truly Barbadian. And a Surinamese remanded after police said she hid drugs in her private parts. Welcome to Nation News for Wednesday, April the 27th, 2016. Thanks so much for joining us. Education Minister Ronald Jones says a contingency plan is in place for Tuesday's 11+ exam should teachers represented by the Barbados Union of Teachers withdraw their labor. However, BUT President Pedro Shepherd says the exam should go ahead as normal, although teachers will protest on Friday, though the form of protest was to be revealed in a news conference as we were preparing this newscast. The union had demanded that Mr. Jones meet with them by the close of business on Wednesday or face industrial action on Friday. Mr. Jones wrote the union and said he would not be coerced into meeting the ultimatum, but was willing to meet at a future date. He told the news conference that former teachers have indicated a willingness to step in and assist on Tuesday if needed. On the issue of the alleged incident of student and teacher violence at Ellerslie, Mr. Jones said the ministry will not be forced to act outside the law. But the BUT and the Barbados Secondary Teachers Union have both said the third form girl involved should be expelled, while social activist Shelley Ross has called for the teacher to be fired. However, Mr. Jones said the calls on both sides are premature.
What surprises me, though, is that the inter-school environment is highly dynamic. We would have had before issues of all types involving children. We would have had issues with children and teachers and parents and teachers across the spectrum where human beings interact within the school environment. And we have been able to deal with them in the appropriate manner, following the principles, the processes as laid down. What is quite unfortunate, is that before any thorough investigation, even before the commencement of the investigation process, there were calls on both sides of the coin for punishment, expulsion, and all other manner of things. The ministry cannot behave in that manner, and neither can it really respond to those particular calls.
You can get all the latest on the education disputes on our website, nationnews.com. The issue of national identity and whether Barbados is a black nation continues to trigger debate in this Jubilee Independence Anniversary year. A white and an Indo-Barbadian told a public forum on Tuesday night that the national identity seems to be centered on Bajans of African descent and all others are seen as outsiders. Peter Lowry, the former head of the Foreign Service who is white, questioned whether the country can move forward with one identity or settle for a divided society in which, and I quote, "the best we can hope to achieve is a largely peaceful but deeply distrustful tolerance of each other." Sociologist Hajima Degia said while members of our Indian community see themselves as Bajan, Barbadians often do not regard them as such.
I can say then that nationalism is contested. Sometimes it's talked by the media for whatever reason, and it fuels a discourse of the threat to a Barbadian identity that is posed by outsiders. So the migration that has been occurring into Barbados from as early as the 1900s and so on, has led to a consolidation of an Indian Barbadian identity. But this Indian Barbadian identity is many times contested. So I'm arguing then that in most societies, and maybe it's a natural something that occurs, the dominant ethnic group gets to define the national content, and membership becomes by ascription.
PAHO representative in Barbados, Godfrey Sreb, says the Zika virus can leave the Caribbean facing a moral dilemma as a result of the birth defects it's reported to cause. Health officials in some countries have urged women to delay pregnancy, and debate has also been sparked about whether pregnant women who contract the virus should terminate their pregnancies. Mr. Sreb told a UWI Zika Task Force symposium attended by religious leaders that the matter was a delicate one and faith leaders needed to have the right information to assist their parishioners. He said that while there have been no reports of complications from Zika in the English-speaking Caribbean, this has not been the case in the French Caribbean.
In the French-speaking Caribbean, we have cases both of microcephaly and of the neurological disorder, the partial paralysis called Guillain-Barré syndrome. So Martinique and Guadeloupe are not that far away from us, and we feel that as the Pan American Health Organization that we need to ensure that all our countries are ready for any potential side effects of the virus.
Barbados was the top offshore tax destination for Canadians last year, attracting 79.9 billion Canadian dollars. That's 126.5 billion Barbados dollars. That figure was up 14% over 2014 and is part of a total of 427 billion Barbados dollars sent to the top 10 offshore destinations for Canadian capital. The figures were researched by an activist group called Canadians for Tax Fairness, which says corporations are using legal measures to route investment through tax havens in order to avoid paying taxes on profits in Canada. JetBlue's first daily direct flight from Fort Lauderdale in Florida is due to land at Grantley Adams International on Thursday morning. On board will be JetBlue's CEO Robin Hayes and a delegation of local tourism officials and journalists. The locals left the island on Tuesday on the inaugural flight before going on a tour of the city in the south of Florida. JetBlue's Vice President of Network Planning, Dave Clark, says Barbados has proved to be one of the most popular Caribbean destinations, and the new service will give travelers a new way to get here from Florida, other than Miami. A woman from Suriname who used her body cavities in an unsuccessful attempt to smuggle drugs into the country has been remanded to Dodds. Police say 32-year-old Nadira Echteld arrived in Barbados on Sunday, and a search of her luggage by customs officers initially revealed 2 taped packages containing cannabis. She was then referred to the QE8, where a package of cocaine was retrieved from her private parts, according to police. Ms. Echteld also later passed out 22 packages of cocaine which she had ingested. The cannabis weighed 2 kilograms and the cocaine 1 kilogram. The Surinamese faces 8 charges relating to the possession, trafficking and importation of drugs and was remanded until May the 5th when she appeared in court. In sport, cricket, Mumbai Indians have signed West Indies pacer Jerome Holder as a replacement for the injured Lasith Malinga for the remainder of this year's IPL. Taylor will be available for selection for their game against Kolkata Knight Riders on Thursday. He was part of the victorious West Indies squad for the World T20 but played only 1 game. And finally, a popular half marathon in Iowa will be a race to remember for one couple who married at the starting line before running the race. The race co-founder officiated as 50-year-old Lynette Beadle and 49-year-old Stephen Klaja wed early on Sunday. The couple married in their running attire and matching blue sweatshirts, with Ms. Beadle donning a short white veil in her hair and the bridegroom strapping on a bow tie. After expressing their love for one another, they high-fived, kissed, and set off on their 13.1-mile jog. I wonder if they were up for anything else after that. And that's Nation News for Wednesday. For more news, log on to nationnews.com and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. And remember to pick up your Daily Nation on Thursday or subscribe to our e-paper.